Guys, so today we're in a Mitsubishi Pajero. See the unit here. Some of these have the rock fit Fosgate system, so they got a built-in sub and amp, so our units will work with that. I don't have that. Still gonna work. So obviously you've got pretty much around 2006 to 2019 they had this sort of model, so they ran it for a decent amount of years. You can tell if you have it because you got the strip computer up the top and the vents look the same. This little bit in the middle can change. It's still going to fit our same unit. It's just that we could include a couple of different harnesses in the kit. So it's your NS Pajero, your NT Pajero, your NW Pajero, and your NX Pajero are all your models. Now the factory model here, you haven't got too much going on here. This trip computer is going to retain, so we're going to keep all that. This stays here. We just replace our fascia in here and the screen. So obviously these don't do much really apart from the radio and Bluetooth on your phone. Make you do that as per usual. They got a pretty old map on here, which will be no good for anyone. Obviously they have a reverse camera, don't have any trajectory lines or anything. That is on there. Some models don't have the reverse camera. Even if you don't have the reverse camera, you're still going to have the wiring for it, and you can actually tap into that existing wiring, so you don't have to actually run any cables down. And we did cover that in a different video, so just ask us for that, or we'll try to link it. I'll put a link in here that you can click on to see how you can actually hook up the camera. So you could actually run our high quality camera and replace the factory one, because you can see this one's a bit blurry. Or if you didn't have a camera, you could also put our camera in. It just means you don't have to run the wires. I believe some models do have a USB, factory USB somewhere. I think maybe up in there. I'm not 100% sure. But if you do have that, there is a plug down the back there you just plug into, and we'll show you that. So all your factory options will keep working: reverse camera, your steering wheel controls, and your factory USB. So we'll go ahead and we'll throw this in now and we'll see how we go. So some of these can be a bit tight to get out, especially on Friday afternoon when it's 30 degrees, but that's the back of the unit. Now, I'll show you all these ones here. Just explain to you. This one can be a bit tight. You got to push down that tab. Trick here is to push this one back into the plug all the way. You can even use your trim tool to help you push down this little thing here, because it's hard to push it down with your hand, and then pull it out. FM AM, that comes out easily. Don't know what that was for. Could be CD stacker. That's the same one. Again, this one here can be a bit tight, and this plastic's brittle. So take it easy and just slowly wiggle it and get it out. You could gently use a pair of pliers to help get out that. These ones will come out easy. These are just the push tab on top. Push and pull them out. The trick here is to push it in, and then pull it out. And then that is, and this model does not have the USB module, which is sometimes down there, which I couldn't find a USB plug. So that's fine. So that is everything taken out. It's fairly straightforward to remove. Now what we'll do is we'll show you what's in the kit, and then we're going to make sure it actually works. Also, we get people ask all the time, where's your units made? And this car's whatever, 2010. Our units are assembled in China, some of the chipsets from different places, but this unit, 14 years ago, still made in China, Kenwood. So they've got the technology there, and they have all of the know-how and skill, and that's why the units are assembled there and have been for a long time. We'll go through and cover what you get in the kit. So obviously you get a main unit with the Fascia, it's our M-Series. On the back here we have AM, FM, 4G, GPS, auxiliary plugs, the main 20-pin plug. Explain those later on, but that's basically the main deck in the unit. Trim removal tools, which you saw me use this before. Hydration assistant, which you need on a day like today. Plug and play harness in the CAN bus, allows it to talk to the car's communication system. Like an OBD2 scan tool, can pick up your engine ECU data. Bluetooth sort of Wi-Fi plug, so you will be using this unless you're using this one here, which is your pre-outs, which is only if you are running an aftermarket amp. So in this car it has, you can actually see here Rockford acoustic design, there's a sub in there. This has a factory amp and sub, so most people don't use this. We'll be using that. A rocker panel dual USB, quick charge and pass-through. It's for the actual unit. 4G for the actual unit, so if you want to give it SIM card and have its own data. 1080p color reverse camera, AHD quality, auxiliary in, again like most people probably won't use that. Dual USB and external other mic, should be an external mic in the kit too. SIM card for the 4G system, 2 camera inputs. Obviously one's going to be the factory camera, second one you can use for a front camera or a reverse camera or whatnot. Actually that might be what they added in here. Just checking if this was a front cam or, no, that's a 1080p reverse camera. So if you have that, the factory camera in the kit, you could actually run that at the front if you wanted to. Third USB, the USB port's mainly handy for doing updates or running our tyre pressure system, our dash cam, what else do we have? Dash cam, tyre pressure system, that's about it really at the moment. All our add-ons we have in the future. This is the factory USB if you do need to keep that. Now, this plug here, I'll explain in a second, but it's actually tucked down the back in a different spot. This car doesn't have it, but I'll explain how that works. That's basically all that you have in the kit. It does look a bit sort of complex at the start, but I'll walk you through it. So once you're here, what we're going to do now is we're going to grab our harness here. We've got our plugs on here, and we've got this plug plugged in here, which will prove that our reverse camera is going to work. So we just want to check all the factory options are going to work. So you just go through here and you match the plugs up to where they match up to. Can't go too wrong here because they can only plug into where they go into. And we've added, you need this one here because on this other model here, this is the factory camera plug. So that goes into there, and then we put that into this purple one. So that's our cam in. So that's all hooked up how we need it, and we can go and put the head unit in and test that it works. So now we just grab the head unit. Now when you're putting this in, you can see how it screws on, and you just got to sort of make sure it does clip in properly. You'll see a little gap in the top here, so one side if you haven't done it right. So that is all clipped back in. Then we're just going to plug the main 20-pin plug into here. So we'll put our Bluetooth one into here, and we're going to put this little grey one into here. Then we're going to power the car up and check that we have sound, reverse camera, etc. We can even do the radio one as well, which I will plug in because we might as well check that we got a radio reception. You can just normally sit it in here, and you can see we've got power, which is good. So we've got power, which is cool. If I push the steering wheel controls, I can see we've got steering wheel controls working. We've got sound coming through, it's always a good start. We've got reception on the radio, awesome. If we go into reverse, we've triggered to reverse, and we have a black screen, that's okay. Click and hold, press settings, 4 zeros. And we just want to change this to, we can peel that off, like CVBS NTSC it will probably be, normally on these units. On the unit on the factory car. A reverse camera. There you go, there's the factory camera working. So we've got radio, the factory camera, our steering wheel controls, power, sound. That proves it's all working. So what we'll do now is we'll unplug it and we'll go and run all the cables we need to and put the unit all in. There's a couple pieces that have to come off the old fascia here. One's a trip computer. So you got 2 Phillips screws on either side, so unscrew those. Then you got these small little clips here that help it unclip. 2 on the bottom, and I think these might have to lift these tabs in the top as well to come out. That's going to go into our one, and then just 1, 2, 3, 4 clips will go into our clip spots. And there should actually be clips at the top here, which I've lost. Those were actually a couple that I popped off before, so sorry, like 6 clips will come across. So the trick here is to take your screws off each side, your Phillips screws. I'll pop the bottom clips off. You can just do that with a small flat head, it'll sort of tilt up, and then use a small flat head to go under these 3 clips in the top here, and that'll just allow that whole trip computer to pull off, and you can spin it around and throw it into our frame here. Again, it clips in, screws go back in. So once the frame's screwed back in, you can see the trip computer's back in like so. The clips here, to pop them off, just put a flat head under one side and lever them up. Just be ready to catch them because they do pop off and they clip back onto our frame. And that's basically everything that needs to be transferred from the old fascia. Now we're just putting all the plugs we need. That we call these all our auxiliary plugs, but these are just all the external plugs. So you can see you got your main harness hooked in here. That was all pretty straightforward and easy. If you do have auxiliary, it looks like you can keep the aux port running, the factory one, but I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Obviously this one's not needed. That's for some models. I don't think any Pajeros actually want to use it. It's for the camera. So some of these extra ones will just tape out of the way. So we've got our GPS here, and let's grab our GPS and put it somewhere where it's got a clear view of the sky through the windscreen with no metal above it. So you can put it underneath the dash because the dash is obviously plastic, and we'll peel this off hopefully. Here we go. So you just find a good spot for this up under here somewhere. You can actually see there's a speaker there, so You don't want to put it right near the speaker or anything. There's a good bit there of actually a metal like bracket on it, which will be pretty good. So I'll put the GPS up under there, and that is the run into there, like so. So that's the GPS plug. This is your 4G plug if you want to put a SIM card in the unit and have 4G hooked up. You don't have to use it, but you might as well put it in now. So if you do want to use it, you can. We'll get a little plastic tabs put on these things in the future because they are annoying. Again, this can go just on here, that's fine. It's a bit like your phone, it's like still going to get reception even if it's in the footwell of the car. You can just pull it a bit so you have a bit more length on there. That was your trip computer one at the top, so just remember to plug that back in. We've got 2 USBs here and our external microphone, so we will run all of that. So what we'll probably do is one USB into the glove box, one USB into our quick charge port, and our external microphone. So I'll leave that one for now because I'll show you that in a second. This is our third USB, handy if you're running our dash cam or tyre pressure sensor or something. So for now we can just run it down here. And can you get easily into the glove box on these models? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I think they're actually pretty sealed, which if that is...
Little hole here.
Is there? Oh, yep, there's a little hole down there you can get to.
Trying to feed it through there, I think.
Put it there, yes. It'll be easier to go from the backwards. So I'll put that through and then I'll grab it out. It's just the little gap there where the hinge goes in. And we can do the same for our SIM card. SIM card, again, you might as well run it, you don't have to use it, but it's handy if it's in the glove box because then you can get to it. Again, it just puts data onto the head unit at all times. So in here we've got your panel switches like this. These ones you can just get out by pushing in and they'll pop out the back. And then what we have in our kit here is a little thing to tidy things up. We just include this in so it looks good. We include some Scotch taps so you can easily connect the wires. I'll show you how you do that. But that's basically what you have. So what we're going to get here is a quick charge, so only power coming through that top one, and that needs to be hooked into ACC power and ground. I'll explain that. And then a pass-through USB, which will plug into one of our USBs, which means you can plug USBs into here. So what we're going to do here is basically undo these, and because on these models they come from the back, you've just got to put this in the back and push it forward. So normally you can find a bit of room when you come in here and tuck down into here. Make sure it's the right way up, it's always handy, and just push it in. Pretty straightforward. And that's sitting there now, so we've got a pass through in the bottom and a quick charge there. Now we'll run these behind here. Always make sure to run the cables behind this and below these AC vents, otherwise they will get in the way. So you want these to go underneath these AC vents like so, and we'll hook that into power from our head unit. And a USB we will do the same with, come through here and underneath here like so. And over on this side over here, we did the same on our glove box. There's a little hole in this side there, so we put through our third USB and our 4G port, which came in here. Again, make sure to I go underneath that AC vent and around the back here. So that's those two. That is all our plugs put in now. If you did have the model where you do have to run the aftermarket reverse camera because you don't have one, check out our other video. We'll put a link to the other video here, which actually shows you how to use the existing wires to run our camera. That just means you can save time and don't have to run the wires. Otherwise, if you want to run the wires, you just got to tap into the reverse lights for power and run the wires. We have some other videos on that. We will put the links for those as well in here so you can see how to do it if you have to run an aftermarket camera. So now we're just going to use an SPL connector, which just is, if you strip a wire, pull the lever, you can plug it in. Gives an easy way to join wires, because for our quick charge port we need ACC and ground. So our red wire here, we just always tap into our harness because then we're not cutting in anything on the car side. Red wire's ACC, strip both sides of that. Obviously you don't have the car ACC on when you're doing this because these will become live if you do that. But basically we just go, yep, cool, that is our ACC into here, plug it in, no, the other way around, sorry. Plug it in like this, clip it down, that's that ACC, that one can go into there. and then we can plug our other one into this other one just here, like so, and that'll put power down here for us. Fairly easy and pretty tidy without having to really worry about anything. Now the other thing we are searching for is we need a ground cable. You can see all the black ones coming out here. There's a few ground cables coming out, so you can choose which one to go into. There's obviously the biggest one, doesn't really matter, they're all going to be ground. The biggest one is a bit tight here though, so I might just use this smaller one for now. And again, you're going to snip, strip, and connect into our SPL connector. So we like the SPL connectors because the problem with Scotch connectors or stuff, they're good for low amp connections, but you've got to have the correct size one, otherwise you won't get a good connection. And then obviously this into here. And you can test this is working by just turning on the key, and you should get a light coming on here, which we're not. So if you don't, that's when we double check all our connections. Oh, is there a light coming on? No, it's not. So we double check our connections, and then you can test it. Just had to strip back that black wire a bit more, and you can see now we have a blue light here. So that's all good and working, that's fine. The other end of it will plug into our USBs here. You can tape these to ensure they're secure, and that's all good. So the only things we haven't done here now is you've got an external mic, which you can choose to run or not run. You know, just gonna run it across under your dash here, and then a piece of trim actually pops out, and then you can actually take 2 screws here and here. The handle will pull off, and this whole trim piece will pull off, and you can run it up to here. There's existing cables in here, so I'll run it with those existing cables, so it isn't in the way of your airbag. Again, you can test it with and without the external mic. You can just do it now, even just hold the unit here, just talk without it, and then plug it in and talk with it, and see. You can even just hold it here and just see. You can do it with the car running too for a real test, and just see if you need it or not. But yeah, pop those bits of plastic off with the trim tool, 2 screws in here, so this whole thing comes off, and you can pull this bit of plastic off, run it down the existing one, and then you can tuck it into here, and you can go underneath above your pedals, back here, and into your port here. So that's that. And then again, the factory reverse camera, we talked about that. If you don't have that, you have to run the aftermarket one. We've got our quick charge port in. That is, I believe, everything. We did have a factory USB port on these cars. I believe it's normally in this little module down the middle here. It's not plugged into the actual unit. It's in this little black box there, and you'll see the plug's quite a big plug. It kind of looks like a USB, and it'll come out. It'll plug into our retention cable. So the car side goes into there, and then this one will go into one of our USBs. It doesn't matter which one, but that'll keep your existing USB port working. This car doesn't have one, so we don't have to worry about it. So now we can grab the unit and we'll put it back in. So again, one thing I haven't done, I just need to swap the dash clips back over, so I'll do that now. Will it change? All right, so now we go and put the unit back in. I normally try to tape things to each side. You can tape up the cords you're not using, so they're a bit tidier. And at the end of the day, you kind of want the cords to tuck in and tuck back down. So that's what you're aiming for. So if we go cables and then work our way across, normally these can only fit where they go, so you shouldn't be able to go too wrong, but you can put a smaller one in a bigger hole, so just watch out for that. But basically that's in there, and I like to work my way back across to here. So GPS, 4G, flip these up, AM, FM. So it's quite easy if you just start from one side and work your way back. You can't go too wrong. Then don't forget your trip computer one here at the top, because if you forget that, you'll go to put it in, that's not powering on. And then the whole point is, hopefully all these things should sort of tuck back down and sit behind. So I'll just tuck them in as I push this in. We've got this over here, and then as you start to line this up, make sure your clips are on. There's 2 tabs in the top here that have to slide in too. So if you make sure you're high enough up when you're pushing this in, and then you should be able to just come around and like so, it should just sit in. And then you'll hear the clipping sound when you really get them in. And that is basically our unit in. Now is a good time as any to power it up and make sure everything's still working. Yeah, cool. So we've got steering wheel controls, we've got sound, always good. Steering wheel controls work, sound, happy days. Now, this model does have a phone and a hang up button. That's not working. Everything else is working. So if that is the case, at the moment we are pulling the steering wheel controls from the CAN bus, but we do have in our harness that you can pull them from the manual wires. So I'll just show you. So if you find you're not happy with that, what you can do is we have these little plugs in here on the brown wire, should be called a key 1 wire. Now you can see if you unplug one and like plug the other in, you're gonna bypass this CAN bus box, which is like what we want to do. So if we bypass it, then what you can do is come into here and click on here and then click the steering wheel control and do like manual learning. So that's up to you. If you want to get those like phone buttons working, you can do that. You just have to swap these two plugs around. We call these XM plugs. You just unplug one and plug the other in, and you're going to skip the CAN bus box. That is how you do that, and then you'll have to do the manual learning process. So that's all pretty good, and then obviously your AC is still lighting up, which is good. Trip computer's working. Obviously we need our reverse camera working. That's working. So we are all good. A quick charge port's on. Everything's looking good. Let's go through and put the rest in. So obviously you've got your AC here. Just make sure it clips in too. It's got these little clips that go into our fascia. Just sort of get those lined up and you'll be fine. There you go, it sits in pretty perfect. Again, you can hear our radio is working with the Rockfate. The factory like amp system, which obviously has this sub accessory in the boot. So that's all working fine. Screwed in the window wipers. So you can put in your 2 AC vents here. Now, we did lose a couple clips, but I worked out the clip size, so we will try and include these in future kits, because otherwise it's a bit of a pain to try and find them when you lose them. So basically that's all in. Then I'll make sure you plug in your hazard, that it's still working. Check your clips are on your fascia here, obviously, on your AC vents, and then you want to go in and push this in. Again, these are plastic and they fit nicely, so it should all go in once it's all lined up. Might be easier to do the top on this one, then work it down like so. That did work better going from the top down. So when you do this side, just go from the top down as well. Yeah, fits much better when you fit it in from the top down. And there you go, all the unit in, all looking pretty flush. Looks like the factory install really, and your factory options are going to work, like your steering wheel controls and your reverse camera. So all good, all in all pretty easy to install. The only hard bit will be if you are doing the reverse camera, you can use the existing wire. Again, earlier we mentioned we will put those links in on how to use those.